In the ancient echoes of time, long before the lines of nations were drawn and maps were rewritten by colonial hands, there lived a people whose roots reached deep into the foundation of civilization. These were the descendants of Ham, one of Noah's sons, a lineage that helped shape the soul of Africa. From the flowing grandeur of the Nile to the towering highlands of Ethiopia, their legacy is inscribed on stone monuments, recorded in ancient scriptures, and kept alive in the oral traditions passed down through generations. This story is not a myth or folk tale. It is a journey through time, grounded in both sacred and historical texts. It draws from the Bible's Genesis, the Book of Jubilees, and revelatory works like From Babylon to Timbuktu. It is a tale that challenges the silence of mainstream history, boldly uncovering a truth that colonial narratives tried to bury. Prepare to explore the biblical and cultural origins of Black and African peoples, a story of beginnings, of brilliance, and of a legacy waiting to be reclaimed. Within the vast tapestry of ancient history, often distorted by colonizers and cleansed by selective retellings, lies the powerful origin story of a people whose influence spanned empires and epochs. According to the Bible, all human life after the Great Flood descends from Noah's three sons, Shem, Ham, and Japheth. Of these, Ham is most closely associated with Africa and peoples of darker complexion. In Genesis 10, the Table of Nations names Ham's sons, Cush, Mizraim, Put, and Canaan, each of whom gave rise to great civilizations. Cush is connected to the mighty kingdom of Cush, Ethiopia, Nubia, Mizraim to Egypt, Put to Libya, and Canaan to the Levant. In Hebrew and other Semitic tongues, the name Ham is often tied to meanings such as hot, black, or burned. Ancient Jewish traditions and cultural records affirm that Ham's descendants settled in Africa and the surrounding regions. These aren't random associations, they are deeply embedded in the DNA of civilizations that gave the world writing systems, architecture, astronomy, and spiritual wisdom long before the rise of Greece or Rome. Ham's firstborn, Cush, is revered as the forefather of the ancient Kushite Empire, a powerful African kingdom based in what is now Sudan. The Kushites built monumental pyramids, mastered ironwork, and maintained robust spiritual practices that endured for centuries. They were not a peripheral people. They were central to the development of African civilization. Likewise, Mizraim, identified in both the Bible and Semitic traditions, is regarded as the progenitor of ancient Egypt. The fact that Mizr, or Mizraim, remains the Arabic name for Egypt today is more than linguistic coincidence. It is ancestral memory. Despite modern attempts to whitewash Egyptian history, countless archaeological and textual sources reaffirm its African roots. The pharaohs were descendants of Ham. The pyramids, temples, and hieroglyphs were expressions of Black genius. These civilizations, Kush and Egypt, stood not only as empires, but as beacons of culture, science, and faith. Their legacy reshaped the ancient world and planted seeds that still grow in modern Africa and the diaspora. One of the most misunderstood parts of this narrative is the infamous Curse of Ham, a passage that has been twisted for centuries to justify the subjugation of African peoples. But let's be clear, the Bible never curses Ham. The curse, as written in Genesis 9, was directed at Canaan, Ham's youngest son, due to a personal family incident involving Noah. Nowhere does it imply divine condemnation of all of Ham's descendants. This misinterpretation has caused centuries of pain, yet its roots lie not in scripture, but in manipulation. Texts like the Book of Jubilees provide additional context. They describe how Ham objected to Canaan's decision to settle in lands designated for Shem, specifically what would become Israel. This was a territorial conflict, not a racial one. The idea that an entire race was cursed is not only theologically false, but historically damaging. Such distortions of sacred texts have been used as tools of oppression rather than sources of truth. It's time to reclaim these stories with accuracy, depth, and integrity. The legacy of Ham's lineage doesn't end with Egypt or Ethiopia. It stretches deep into the heart of the African continent and beyond. The Berbers of North Africa, the Tuaregs of the Sahara, the Nubians along the Nile, and the ancient kingdoms of Mali and Aksum all carry the echoes of Ham's descendants. Through Kush and Put, this lineage spread culture, language, and commerce across continents. Some traditions even suggest connections between Hamitic peoples and early South Indian civilizations, linked through ancient trade routes and maritime migration. The burial place of Ham remains a mystery. Scholars and oral traditions propose locations ranging from Egypt and Sudan to Ethiopia. The Book of Jubilees tells us Ham was among the first to build post-flood cities, even naming one after his wife, a detail that paints a picture of civilization, not savagery. When we read these ancient texts with cultural and historical awareness, a powerful truth emerges. Africa was never a passive land. It was a birthplace of innovation, leadership, and divine legacy, central to the biblical world and the origins of human society itself. As we close this chapter on the origins of Black and African peoples, a greater truth begins to unfold. History, real history, is far richer than the watered-down versions we've been taught. The scriptures and traditions passed down through millennia tell a story of resilience, faith, and brilliance. The descendants of Ham were builders, leaders, and visionaries. Their civilizations influenced the known world, and their stories continue to shape our own. Yet much of this legacy remains hidden, distorted, or forgotten. To rediscover it is not just an academic exercise, it's a mission of cultural restoration. By understanding the roots of African history through both biblical and historical lenses, we honor the true depth of our shared human journey. This is more than history. It's a spiritual awakening, a call to reclaim what was lost, to challenge what was misrepresented, and to walk forward with pride in a legacy that predates empires. If this story resonates with you, give it a like. It helps us grow and reach more people seeking truth. Your support makes a difference. By liking and sharing this video, you're helping to uncover and amplify the powerful untold history of Africa. Join us on this journey to bring light to the stories the world tried to silence.